If you walked away from your business for 2 years, would it be stronger when you return? That's the question that inspired generations of founders to build something that lasts. Running a business takes more than hustle. It takes a leadership team that anticipates what's next. A system that's well-oiled, self-correcting, and capable of growing beyond the founder. CBC Talks is about building businesses that don't just survive, but thrive. Here we are, another session at the Green Screen Studio in St. Paul, Minnesota. Gabe, as our proprietor and owner of the studio, thank you again for letting us in your space.
Of course. Glad you're here.
We finally decided to turn the recording on because our conversation was getting interesting. And frankly, it's not appropriate to not acknowledge what's going on in Minnesota right now. And so we were exploring the challenge between what's going on economically in the 7-county metro, with a lot of bigger organizations dropping headcount, and what's going on with our local infusion of ICE and the Immigration and Department of Homeland Security and what that's doing to our communities. So the first topic of bringing this up is, how do we differentiate the difference between a social issue and an economic issue?
It's a good question. I mean, I work with a lot of social issues, and I think it directly relates to my economics of my business. So I've made the choice to kind of lean into the community side of things and focus less on P&L sheet to a fault, I would say. I think I've been taken advantage of in business. I've been run ragged because I care about people too much. It's a challenge. It's a commitment. It is a choice. And I'm willing to make that sacrifice because I want to build something bigger that is more authentic. I work with a lot of artists, and artists are the first ones to be asked to do things for free. That really bothers me because you never hear about starving lawyers. Being an artist takes an emotional toll because you just want to provide the way you see the world, and not everyone appreciates that or is willing to pay for that because the systems are based on profit more than they are about perspective.
Yeah, it brings a question right now. Along with Gabe today, we also have Ashley Hughes joining us with Go Savvy Social.
Thanks for having me.
It brings up the distinction between value that would be purchasable, that is worth investing in, and valuable, which makes the world better off afterward, or makes a business, people, a community better afterward. And what we're watching right now in the Twin Cities is the distinction between, there's a lot of things that are valuable but are not valued. People are not willing to pay necessarily or contribute to something that is valuable because it's not currently valued more than not having it there. Why does an artist get a pass from adding valuable work or valued work currently that is, hey, I'm willing to pay you for this now, without being associated with, oh, you're just selling out, you're just sales, you're just grabbing cash?
That's a good question. I mean, I think art is subjective. That's the problem, right? It's not a commodity. It's all different. So you can't quantify it a lot of times. And every artist is different. Every skill level is different. Every want is different. Every client is different. Everybody's eyes are different, right? Everybody sees it differently. So it's a hard industry to be in inherently because you're throwing spaghetti at the wall 99 times out of 100 from a financial standpoint.
Like, Gabe, not everybody wants a roof or new windows or new siding or a new car or a new house right now. So what's the difference between art that is trying to find something that is valued for people to pay for versus a business that is saying, hey, I've created an incredible space, or I've created a brand, a logo, a service that I could do for you? Does the market give you the feedback of whether it's valued or not? What's the difference between artists having to go find something else versus businesses that are forced to go find something else?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing. I think it's a want, not a need. And I think, like you said, like a roof is, there's always going to be people who need roofs. There's always going to be people who need clothes, so can you do art and clothes together? Of course you can. but the infrastructure for the independent artist versus the corporation is vastly different. And having that alone in the world, trying to figure myself out with my art, and then hopefully that speaks to somebody who I've never met. That's a challenge.
Is it that it needs to speak to it, or that it is so valued that someone will contribute resources toward it, or trade in energy or money?
Sure. I love that. And I mean, I would probably go back to ancient times, right? Like the Greeks were great with art. People wanted to learn from them because they had a perspective on life, and that was influenced their art. But I don't see that as much now because it's this, everybody consumes so quickly, and it's what can you do for me right now that's going to move the needle, as opposed to how is the culture being built? I think that's where artists have an opportunity to build the culture. And I mean, music is the perfect example, right? Music is more ubiquitous than physical art. I think music is much more relatable to a lot of people. A lot of people are emotionally connected to music. And I think art has been bastardized by not only the amount of things out there to view and AI coming into play. So all of these pieces have been making good art harder to find, maybe.
So I would challenge that. My background was in classical music. So back to 1800s of when Mozart and Beethoven are coming around. Both of those gentlemen died penniless, completely broke. And it wasn't until after after decades of them being gone, that was when suddenly the population decided it was valuable again. And it was valued to congregate people, to put on a performance, to put on an experience that people were saying, I value that so much that I'm willing to pay to get access to that experience. What's happened since is now classical music, or music in general, has become commoditized because it's no longer behind a paywall that I have to pay to access it. It's become, Spotify has made it everywhere. Pandora, YouTube have made music so accessible that it's no longer valued. The only thing that is valued in music, my assertion, is people going to a concert.
Correct.
People will still pay to go to an event, which is behind a paywall and an exclusivity that says, if you're willing to pay the exchange, I value that so much that I'm willing to get to the other side of that.
Agreed. And I think that's the premise of music, right? Is that you want to get people to know who you are so they come and see you. But I don't see a lot of people going to watch the Sistine Chapel, being painted in today's age, right? Like there's just not as much of that because they want to sit at home and watch a movie. Movies are art, right? But there's a lot of garbage out there, and music is the same way. But if you're going to monetize it, concert is easy. I love this artist. I'm going to go see them go, we have a mutual friend who goes and sees every Dave Matthews Band concert. I mean, I'm not a fan, but he loves him. So Dave Matthews makes a bunch of money off this guy. Right? I don't see the digital artist, physical artist having that opportunity because there's just, maybe Mr. Beast, you could argue, is somebody who's figured it out.
He's built an entire brand and an entire business about telling people about his value. He is dialed into what people are sensitive to right now, what they respond with. He's dialed into what social cues, pokes do I need to put into my clips in order to make them so engaging that people can't stop and look away. He's an entertainer first. And people have said that's valuable.
Sourced multi-stream income. Literally, me and my son were watching Mr. Beast Wars or whatever they are last night. And he's plugging his partnership with Jack Links, and he is also, getting the candy bars in there while giving away millions, right? So, and people losing the battle along the way and supporting them holistically on the journey. Like, oh, I'm so sorry that this 5 million will not be yours, but you're a great person. Let's continue. So
It's a reality show.
Yeah.
So we're exploiting the proletariat anyways for money, right? That's still what this is about. That's why reality shows got so big, is because the production for a network TV show or a syndicated show was so high that when the Real World came out, they realized, wow, this doesn't cost anything. It's a 2-camera shoot. The characters are built in. All we have to do is work harder on the pre-production side to vet these characters to see what their personalities will clash with. Like it's fascinating to see how they build these shows together, like Survivor or Amazing Race, Naked and Afraid. All these, they come up with a premise and then they find the people who are willing to, I hate to say, sell out their likeness, and they don't have to write the script. They come up with the premise and they navigate the conflicts, but the people are what we want to watch. We gravitate towards because we are them.
The people is based on perception and perspective that you create in your own head. And we never did this with soap operas really growing up because it was a character in a show. However, now on social media and in these given platforms, we foresee this being the actual human that exists versus who they in reality are outside of the camera.
And that the differentiation there, the gray matter is where the entertainment comes, because you don't know, are the Kardashians really like that? Or is this strategically placed so that we react in such a way?
If I'm going to be gross for a moment, but if the public are willing to give it their attention and pay to participate and watch that, doesn't matter.
It doesn't. That's the point. The point is that it's still art. As hard as that is to say, that's still art. It's just now we have created a formulaic art that can be plugged and played with housewives and with whatever, ice road truckers. Like, we are no longer interested in the evolution of what content looks like. And I think that's where real artists could come in and change the game. It's, why do we have 6 versions of The Office? Why do we have The Big Bang Theory with a laugh track? It's all of these things that are placating the audience into saying, this is what you want. Just consume this. This is the potato chips that you need to release from your hectic day. It's not challenging you. It's making you feel good.
But we're solving a need. The people want easy. They want convenience. They want to be entertained. They don't necessarily want to be challenged. Why do we say we need a real artist?
Okay, let me caveat that, because I think real artist, there are many artists on set in a sitcom, right? And the director of photography, the writer's room still exists. They're not taking the risks that are challenging the status quo. My favorite shows, like I think 30 Rock was a phenomenal show because the writing was crisp. The jokes came at you fast and they didn't wait for you. They didn't wait for you to laugh. It wasn't here's the joke. Okay, now laugh. Oh, here's the joke. I use the example all the time of like the AT&T commercials or, the Verizon, and they just have that, like, the husband and wife go into the shop and the wife's like, we just need a phone. And the husband's like, I don't even know what a phone is. And then the customer service rep is just like, we got you covered. So it's so formulaic. It's so unrelatable. And I want better. I think people aren't as stupid as they're being perceived by big business.
Do you think it's some of the artistry is not stepping into that seat though? Like we talked about earlier, those that will become accountable in their role and utilize services like any of us offer at this table and want that for their business, but not commit to the process on their end. And then is that at the fault of our organizations where followed through doesn't lead in? Do you think the artists are the one not taking initiative to fall into this and perfect it on the journey in a better way where we can relive some of that old artistry?
Yeah, I think it boils down to authenticity. I think that's what's missing, is that it's calculated, it's formulaic, and the results are built in, and it's enough. It's like if you're making earnings every year, your shareholders are happy, right? But you have to, year over year, you have to make more money. So it's just like, if you're meeting the bare minimum, it's good enough. Everybody's happy. Everybody's employed. We're good to go. But if you're competing, like let's say you're a home service company, right? And you're competing against other home service companies. You have home service company A who's doing everyone here is like family. And it's just very inauthentic and, corporate pop music underneath and handshakes and truck drivers and just all the things that you see, versus the other home service company who is doing funny stuff behind the scenes, or they're pranking each other, or they're actually showing you a difficult job that they had to problem solve in real time. And it becomes this thing of, oh, I know, like, and trust this person, not only because they're competent, but they have a sense of humor and they're in my neighborhood and they do quality service because I checked their Google reviews. So I think there's this holistic approach that's not being pursued by a lot of companies because they're just trying to fill the box of, oh, I need a commercial, or, oh, I need my, leads, or, if that happens, I'm happy. Well, how are you engaging with your audience? That's what's missing. And I think that's where the artists can come in as storytellers and say, there's got to be a better way, like the old school infomercials.
Are you advocating for shtick?
I'm advocating for personality. That's what I'm advocating for. If you are, I was talking to a guy the other day who's got a very dry personality, and he's like, we can't create content because we're boring. And I was like, no, you're dry. That's completely different. Lean into the dry. People like dry. And if they don't get it, they don't get it. It's okay.
And they're not your client.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're not only competent and qualified at what you do, but you have this persona that is relatable. And now people know how to engage with you. And you're not pretending to be this company that you're not.
Well, and it's going to be exposed when they walk into the house anyway. I mean, you don't realize how your personality when they sign the paper is really that they're subscribing to you as a person. So why would you not want to portray that digitally? I'm on the same page as Gabe as far as performance is concerned, as long as it's true to your organization and the people within your organization. So when I work with people, getting to know how they tick, like seeing Josh smile when he's taking off his hats and stuff like that. Okay, we're finally breaking that barrier. We're getting to, he feels comfortable in this seat. This is speaking to something about his organization. And becoming who he is. So how do we tap that for each client? And it is really,
nobody wants to be vulnerable, and that's exactly what they need to be.
One of my clients shot a video from the back that I didn't realize he was taking of me bouncing around, showing him what he was going to do next. And that's just, sometimes I have to be a character myself to pull that from.
You have to live outside that comfort zone, and that's right. Growth in business. This is part of that. It's just people want to know who you are. People want to relate. They don't want to get a happy Valentine's Day from my machine shop down the road. Like, they don't care about that stuff. It's, who are these guys? How do they work with each other? How do they relate to customers? Who are they outside of work? What do they enjoy? I mean, you could have a video that's completely unrelated. What if you love fishing or something like that? And you don't even have to talk about business. You could have a video about fishing, and That's it. Like, it's not that complicated.
So everything in that is regarding content strategy, which is engagement, which is trying to get attention and likes. And at some point, it does become formulaic. Even your dry personality or your home services that are doing a demo of, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. Why are we doing it? Because we're being vulnerable. Why are we doing it? Because we're trying to show you we are relatable and we live in your environment. Isn't that just all social engineering to try and get a response from a market that might be in a position to purchase goods or services from that organization?
That, but we all want to belong to something. We all want something greater. So like when I said I walked into the room of peer groups and I felt like everybody had taken off their suit coat already, I felt like people were vulnerable enough to be sharing their true story, and that's where real business happens. So now when you've on social created a space where they already feel like they know you can remove that jacket in a business situation so much quicker and create that relatability to end in a, so we could say, oh, well, that's just impressions. That's not the sales. That's not, well, listen, when the sale comes, it closes a lot faster. And we might need so many impressions to get that sale, just like you're banging on doors and making those phone calls and sending those messages. It's the same amount of impressionism, if not so much greater nowadays, that we need to make, that it unfolds.
You guys are full of crap.
We are.
It is a complete, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a bait and switch. You want me to be authentic and relatable and go out to be my customers in order to get their money, in order to get more attention, in order to get more sales.
Yep.
So do we really want authentic art, or is it all propped up inside of, it's a story to be told to make my brand and my company the best next option for their purchase?
Yeah, it's very cold to say it that way because everybody has to earn a living, right? I want to hire the person that I like the best. I want to hire the person that I relate to the most.
Yeah, authenticity being who you truly are and that you genuinely want to create a relationship with them. We don't just do it. I mean, we can do it for just performance, but then we've erred on authenticity altogether. Like, you've failed on the authenticity part because you don't actually care about your consumer.
I mean, you look at like Liquid Death. Are you familiar with their story?
The water company?
Yeah, the water company. So they're, $1 billion company now, and they sell water. And it's because they did it a different way. Their branding is in your face. It's literally not even carbonated. I think they have some carbonated now, but like, how do you sell a $3 can of water? It's personality. They know it's just water. So there's not a big risk there.
Is it art?
Absolutely.
You call that art?
I would call what Liquid Death is doing in marketing art. Yes.
It's disruption.
Exactly.
So then
They're first to market with that idea.
So cleverness is value.
100%.
And if it's clever and entertaining, it's worth money.
And it also, if you can do it first, if you can take that risk, and you will be rewarded. Because a lot of people say they want to take risks, and I'm sure you've experienced this many times where, businesses are like, I love this thing. I want to do this. And it's like, well, it doesn't really align with your brand, this particular thing. We can definitely take some risks. Here's a couple ideas. Oh, I wasn't thinking about that. That's maybe too much,
But
So it's
wait, it didn't produce because we did it his way rather than the way you suggested, and now it's your fault.
It's my fault. Yeah, it didn't produce, and it's not performing, and it's already been 6 weeks. Where are my results?
What I'm struggling with is we have a lot of owners who wrestle with the fact that I don't want to tell my story because I wound up with a company of 20, 30, 40, 50 employees, didn't go to business school. I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, right? I'm supposed to know, right? People come to me with answers and I'm supposed to know. And what we find over and over is that their inability to acknowledge the fact that they don't know what they don't know
Right.
keeps the company stuck. And they keep doing the best they can, winging it wherever they can, and they don't ever allow anyone to come in and contribute to them. So when you talk about building an art or an authenticity or a relatability that directly exposes that vulnerable part, there's a gap there. We see this all the time. I am curious about if there's no funding option, is art still relevant?
It has been. I mean, that's the thing is artists want to create. We don't have a choice. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I go, I got to write this down. You know, it's in there. It's festering constantly. I can't I don't know where I'm going to use this thing, but I'm writing it down. It's kind of an insanity built in. And so if I can utilize my insanity to help businesses grow, that's my goal.
But relative to what, as far as funding is concerned, because if we're looking at ad spend and you have that existing right now, and we know that most, let's talk home services space organizations are seeing a 30% decrease in their analytics when they put the same amount of money into ad spend right now. Is that allocated differently into organics, looking at a holistic growth option, maybe with some ad spend there supporting the journey? We know that when we come out of situations like this and companies are willing to spend or at least maintain their marketing budget, that they usually end up being the companies on top after a harsh economy.
And I think that's a good distinction too for the people who aren't as privy to what the difference between ad and organic is that, you know, ads are the call to action, a little bit more flashy. Here's what you're spending on Facebook or Instagram. And organic is we're going to post these things that feel a little more real and not as polished and are spur of the moment or behind the scenes or day in the life or candid testimonial. Those are, or educational. Those are pieces that are more long lasting and build your more loyal customer base, because when they're going on YouTube and they see your brand educating them on plumbing or whatever, and then they see you on social media and you're acting a fool in the office, and then they see you out in the community and you're at a trade show or something like that, those are different touch points. They're all organic, and there's not a moment where you're selling them on something, because most people can tell when you're selling them on something.
So one of the things we see very frequently is an owner is wrestling with cash. It is, have I brought in enough? Have I collected enough to my outstanding receivables? Have I converted that into cash enough? And now I've got someone telling me I need to sign up a $5,000, $10,000 a month marketing retainer. How can I justify taking that risk on that when you're betting my company's viability? It's a very frequent conversation that a bunch of our members get stuck into is like, can we make that bet? Can we roll that dice on gambling on marketing or on a content creator if it's not with an underlying expectation that it has to generate new opportunities, has to generate new sales?
And that's the challenge too, because it is hard to measure those things on social media. Is this a conversion? Did I get that sale based on that video that we posted certain day? It's very challenging to find those, to be able to prove that as a case study as a creator. I would say for those businesses who are used to a traditional marketing budget and are used to maybe going to advertising agencies or playing the old school way, right? I would say start somewhere. You don't have to have 5,000 to 10,000, but start getting consistent on social media, whatever that means to you. If you want to do a live stream every month, you could hire somebody to just come in and come up with ideas for you that are easy to execute. That's going to cost a lot less than, here, give me 5,000 to 10,000, set it and forget it. Because even that's probably not going to be your best solution. Because you're going from 0 to 60. You're not building this. You know, we produce a lot of podcasts here. And I always tell people before they start, unless you're willing to commit 100 episodes, this might not be for you. Is that most people are going to find you at your 101st episode, and then they're going to go revisit. But not a lot of people are paying attention to your first, second, third, because they're probably not that good. And that's great, because that shows your growth, like business. So it's a good opportunity to just say, I know I'm not doing anything. I have a little bit of a budget. $1,000, $2,000 a month will go a lot farther in the long run than saying, I got to solve this problem right now. I got $10,000. That's a year.
I think the key of what you said that no one else will hear is consistency, and that the algorithm feeds on consistently doing something in repetition. So if it's, you can post once a month, you can make that commitment. In 6 months, you can commit to posting twice a month because you feel stronger in the process, and then continue to add to that. And so much so that, you know, if you're a growth brand, you should be considering posting daily in the video space. Static posting is not getting you past your following. Your following is going to see you in video too. Does static still exist for certain things? Absolutely, especially in community tagging. But consistently is the key.
And don't be afraid to post. I think that's where people get so scared that this isn't going to go well, or I'm going to look like a fool, or whatever. You're going to look like a fool if you don't post. Just kidding. The point is it doesn't have to be perfect.
But Gabe, you just said it has to be authentic and vulnerable.
Definitely. So it shouldn't be perfect.
Am I going to overanalyze? I got to think this through. I got to have the right.
And that's a funny post right there. If in real time you're like, I shouldn't post. Oh man, maybe I should. I got to post. Like that's a video right there. Boom. 10 seconds. People love that.
It's not aligned with the brand. No, I'm looking incompetent. Everything I do is supposed to be professional and polished and clean because we do really high quality work. Right?
Don't only post that, but if that's part of your strategy.
There is a space for brand management and a space for personality management. It's not.
I like that.
Yeah. And people are hesitant on LinkedIn right now, but I think your largest opportunity is the evolution of LinkedIn taking on video.
Yes,
and really
100%.
You're in a great space right now in that, and with what LinkedIn offers as far as organic reach capabilities without charging you. If you're not doing it, you should be.
Because not a lot of people are utilizing LinkedIn right now because it's got that professional vibe.
Yeah. I mean, and again, control yourself, but
of course, unless that's your brand.
So I want to go back and reflect to where we started the conversation around the advocacy for artists. And you said, well, but at some point, if it doesn't work, they're throwing stuff at a wall. If it doesn't stick, they have to go find something else. What happens in the business community if the stuff you're throwing just doesn't stick? Who is determining whether the business needs to go find somewhere else or something else to do?
It's a good question.
I think there are a lot of people that don't understand their own analytics. And I would say if you are in that space, sit down for an hour or two and really do your own self teaching on what the analytics really mean, because a lot of agencies are going to inflate their numbers by using their own reporting dashboard. They're only going to show you portions of the numbers that show you benefit to your organization. Really understand what your account representative is sitting down with you and going over every month, and bring it back to the each individual dashboard, Facebook's dashboard, Instagram's dashboard, LinkedIn's dashboard, because when those platforms come in, the numbers get skewed. My cost to close is different than what we would say your cost to close is. Now we're at, that lead costs $6,000 rather than $300 for the acquisition, or, so really sitting down to understand, and then from there, see if you can get anybody to commit to the same. Can I produce that for you? A lot of companies that are real will not say that they can do any specific thing for you, because
you can't.
It does.
You just can't promise.
No, you can't. Don't ever sign up for a company that's saying, well, I can get you 50,000 views next month.
So that's from the perspective of a marketing vendor. Say, I'll step in as a service or an artist or a creator for you, or I'll be responsible for your brand as we're deploying it into the market into different verticals. I'm saying go one step further to what happens when the market is just
Doesn't work.
isn't working. Like a good example would be we've worked with a couple of organizations that pride themselves on their expertise and their quality and how clean and how pristine and down to the millionths of a millimeter their product comes. And they've priced themselves at a premium, and the market has said, well, we're going to keep going to the cheaper option. Well, if they're no longer in a space where their differentiator is valued, no amount of art is necessarily going to turn that on.
Then they have to pivot.
If there's no market there.
Yeah. Then I would argue that it's not the creator or the marketing person's fault. The only fault of the marketer or creator is, I think you're doing this the wrong way. I think you're not in the right part of the market, because clearly your premium is taking away from your success.
This is part of what we talk about frequently from a strategy perspective, is where is there a gap in the market that's not being exploited? And exploited is an intentional thing. It's a gap. Mm-hmm. It is a space where, hey, it can be done faster or cheaper or more authentically, or we can get there sooner, or we can do things a different way, or we can put little sparkles and flecks involved. And if that's valuable for you, we are going to move into that space and charge a premium for that. What's crazy is how many businesses we work with that say, well, I do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And that is their response to, well, what makes you unique? Well, the family.
Yeah,
our customer service. We are responsive. It's like, is that enough? In relative to the market's expectations and relative to the competition and what they are presenting or pushing out there, is it actually a valued exchange?
I think there's a lot of boilerplate that comes with marketing, and it's good enough. And I think AI is bastardizing a lot of this stuff where people just input, I act as a marketing specialist with a PhD and give me 3 hooks for social media. And it's just like, okay, they'll do that, but it'll be generalized. It won't have that once again, I'll use the word authenticity, subject matter expertise, personality, all of those things AI cannot create. Now, can a human utilizing AI help a brand create those things? Absolutely. Does that keep costs down? Absolutely. But you have to humanize the AI, and your differentiator has to be a real differentiator, and that's you. That's the brand you started. And if you're just boring and you don't know what you're doing, well, then maybe we can't help you. But I would argue you got into it for some reason. You're good at something. You have value to add to your clients, and give out the free game. Like, people want to know the solution before they have the problem. And if you're able to accomplish that, people will pay attention. And you have consistency, people will pay attention. So it's value.
I'm going to be the outlier and say, no, I don't believe using AI and efficiencies reduces costs currently yet. And if you are reducing your costs, because I've taken a lot of time and energy and effort on my behalf, my personal time, my kids' personal time, my family's personal time, to make sure I'm well educated in the AI space to help businesses. And that is still of value, because there are several people behind on the ball right now as far as AI is concerned. So I'm not reducing my cost for using AI.
So let's get into that a little bit. This is particularly intriguing. One of the comments we were seeing right now is that AI is like Miracle Grow. You can throw it into your garden and you're going to get weeds and flowers and all sorts of mixtures involved. And unfortunately, people are throwing AI into every part of their business, and they've got a gangly hedge now. So one of the big challenges becomes like, well, what is the point of AI then? Why does it matter? Is it actually helping productivity go up? What's the ultimate decision of whether this AI installation was helpful or not?
I think there's in a lot of cases that AI is not generally helping efficiencies right now because there's so much trial and error to the integration and so many people using it inappropriately or not creating correct processes around it inside organizations that's creating the mess that is inside some of the organizations that I'm working with and those I see surrounding my organization.
People want it to be copy and paste, and that's not what it is.
No.
It's a framework. It's a resource tool. It's if I'm building out a campaign strategy or whatever, and I'm trying to figure out what types of content are going to be aligned with this brand and what their personality is, and I'm having them basically dump ideas out, and I can organize those ideas with a tool that can help me put them in the right places much more quickly. That saves so much time for all of us.
So one of the conversations around AI right now is that it got put into the marketing aspect of business almost first.
Immediately.
And people were generating a lot of stuff. Various levels of value, of engagement, of quality, of putting content out there. And the market has pulled back pretty strong to say, I don't know if this is necessarily resonating with humanity. Take it to another area of the business, like on the finance side. There are a lot of white-collar finance analysts, $80,000, $90,000 a year roles that are being eliminated right now because all of the analysis, all of the pattern spotting, all of the production of preparing reports, that's all being automated and pulled out. Those insights are now being pulled out. So in that part of business, we are seeing AI make a difference.
True. And it still does make mistakes, though. That needs to be said because it's not foolproof. There are some things that it does well, and there are some things that it can do well, but it's not foolproof. And I think the fact that we all want the easy button, we assume that it's going to be correct or that it's going to follow the prompt the right way. It doesn't always do that. It hallucinates.
So one of the things we take quite a few of our business owners back to is the concept of throughput, of production that gets out, that gets invoiced. And we're watching AI get introduced to a lot of different tools, a lot of different companies in a lot of different areas, and taking it back to, okay, did it allow greater throughput? And if you're not producing more and able to invoice more for that investment of energy, time, or software, then it actually was just a distraction. How do you balance that? How do you decide when to keep digging into something, the trial and error and the figuring it out, versus this is not contributing to me getting more work out? I'm going to go old school. No, I'm just going to do it the way we've always done it.
I think it boils down to critical thinking. I mean, if you're able to critically think about things, then AI is a great tool because it will respond and then you absorb that information and ask a follow-up question. But most people don't ask the follow-up question. So the refining, I think it's great for. It's if I'm looking for like as a thesaurus even. It's like, hey, this is great. How do we punch this up, or how do we do this? Or give me 10 examples for an analogy of whatever. And just so I don't have to think of it out of the blue. So I think those are super helpful, but I'm editing and re-editing and re-editing and re-editing. So by the time I've, conceptualized a script for a video, I'm on 10 revisions, 20 revisions.
So I had this conversation with a PR firm recently that we were talking about the process that it takes for them to go through with a client to get them to the other side of a really great brand positioning and strategy. And we had the discussion around the difference between if it takes, let's say 5 iterations of editing, did it get me to 95, 96% when really 1 or 2 drafts of that would have gotten me to 85 and that was good enough, and I just blithered away a whole bunch of time putzing around with something that it was good enough.
Very valid. I think it's what the differentiator is. It's the fact that this can be better. This can be better. And I keep going until I'm happy with it. I always tell people when you're shooting video, if you're not laughing on set, if you're not actually laughing on set, it's not funny. And the audience isn't going to think it's funny either. So The premise might be funny, the execution is not funny, or vice versa. The premise isn't funny, but the execution is hilarious because it's authentic or whatever. Then you're actually laughing, it's going to be more successful. But if I'm doing something that I take pride in and I can go that little extra mile and make sure these things are, punch it up, make it better. And to me, it works out as a benefit and it's not a waste of time. And I've still saved time over having to belabor this script for weeks because I'm like, I got to come back to this because I've already been at it for 3 hours. It's like, no, I've punched this thing up as far as I can in an hour and a half or something like that. And so that saves me time, saves my clients time, and the content is better.
So Gabe, pulling you into this, thank you for jumping into a conversation.
Yeah, it's fun.
Let's talk about what Green Screen Studio is doing and what's coming up next, and that you're saying, hey, we're creating a new space.
Yes, and that's a great segue because I'm actively, constantly pivoting in this art space since COVID, because since COVID, the artist community has been decimated. Everybody's one-man bands. It's a constant race to the bottom for so-and-so will do it for $100, or I just need a reel for this. And it's like, oh, can we get this drone style video? Oh, I've got a $50 budget. You know, it's just like, no, none of these things are feasible. And the young kids, I don't blame them, but they're going for it because they're capable. They're built on technology. They know their iPhone like the back of their hand, I guess. And so it's hard for somebody who's been doing it for 20 years the right way, but what is the right way? So now my focus is, how do I bring these artists into a community of artists so we can all wear one hat that we're most capable of, and we can work together. We can build things that are bigger and more community focused, that are authentic to the artists, match those artists with businesses who need content, and create a symbiotic relationship where I can send out a team of creatives to a business for a day, shoot a bunch of content, come back here, create, 10, 20, 30 pieces of content out of one day of commitment from a client, and then work with distribution companies, because the social media side is really cumbersome. So if we can pass that off to somebody who can do the engagements and can do the posting and can be more actively involved in that, then it saves us time to be able to focus on the creative. So that's my current goal, is to be able to facilitate young artists and artists of all kinds to be able to do their authentic creation with a brand, take ownership of that brand. The brand takes ownership of the community of artists. So now we're all working together to grow each other's businesses. And then the business itself gets the consistency that they've been craving and they need. And now we have a actual community that is creating and working together, and cost structure is lower than it would be if you hired a marketing agency for $5,000 to $10,000, because the efficiency is much better. And also you get to commit a little bit of your brand to a community that needs to have a creative outlet that pays the bills.
So your side is looking at the production capture.
Correct.
We will bring the creative, do the capture, bring
and
the
strategy.
content, to then say you're the first half of then the distribution engine, the campaign production, the campaign management and distribution, in order to get that loaded to start converting opportunities for a business.
Correct.
So then the customer would be the business that is saying, I need a clever, innovative way to generate content. And I think your team or the artist community that you represent is going to be a better investment to help us generate more content at a higher ROI with higher creativity, strategy, relatability than a lot of the other options that are out there.
I would argue.
So that is what you're bringing to the space next.
Is a let's call it Uber meets Fiverr. It's like, we're sending the team out to you. You're going to build that relationship, and you guys are going to continue to grow together. So there's an added incentive to build the portfolio, to build your client base based on a team effort. and accountability on both ends. Is that now the business owner can't go, oh, it's Monday, it's content day, but I don't have time. It's like, no, we're scheduling one day a month. It's all we need. It's like the ROTC, right?
Any final thoughts, suggestions for this conversation?
I'm building something that's supporting your journey, actually, right?
Love it.
Gabe, thank you for another great conversation. CBC Talks is really focused on the conversations around business of what makes you different, what makes you differentiated, what gives you value to your prospective customer that says they say yes now. This is really our biggest question with businesses always is how do I remain valued to be doing business as soon as possible in the easiest way for my customers which have a need. So thanks for being part of the conversation.
Thanks for having me.
If this conversation is resonating with you, it's probably because you're the kind of leader we built the Creative Business Council for. Our peer groups are designed for owners and leaders who want more than just ideas. They want accountability, clarity, and the chance to sit at the table with people facing the same challenges. The Creative Business Council is looking for leaders like you. Sit in on one of our peer groups and see the difference for yourself. Just click the link in the description.